If you ever wanted to see how to vibe code a complete application from scratch as a beginner, I'm going to walk you through that today. Now, a while ago, I made a prompt library application using the very first versions of Cursor in the early days of what we would call vibe coding. Great book by Gene Kim right there, by the way. And in this process, what I figured out is that the world has come a long way since I made that video almost 9 months ago. And so I took a new stab at how to create a prompt library for you to be able to save the prompts that you use and the prompts that are most useful to you, and do it in a way that follows my RG-Koa framework. If you don't know what that is, there's other videos on my channel you can watch to figure that out. But today, I'm about to show you an inside look at what we do inside of the community, and I'm going to walk you through about a 90-minute session of going from absolutely nothing to using my vibe coding Markdown templates that I have for free on GitHub to create an application. And we're going to do everything. We're going to walk through how to get started by creating a PRD, a product requirements doc, which is just a plain language explanation. We're going to do massive amounts of context engineering to seed in exactly what type of application we're going to build, where we're going to run it, what kind of software we're going to use. And rest assured, you do not need to know the answers to any of those questions. The prompts that I'm giving you in the framework will help you figure that out and even make the decision for you if you want it to. And then finally, we're going to go through using Claude Code to actually build this application. We're going to go through step by step. We're going to build a plan. We're going to implement that plan. We're going to troubleshoot. We're going to use screenshots. We're going to use error messages. But by the end of this, we're going to have a working application that you can see from start to finish. There's a couple folks from the community who joined in this session who are both very technical, who are doing this inside and out, and they're asking good questions throughout. So please, without further ado, follow along with this one. If you stick around to the end, I'll have some closing comments. Look, timestamps are down below. All the links to the files that you're going to see in this document, the GitHub repos and all the different PRD stuff, all down below. Let's get into this. What I want to do today is say, let's just do a thing. Let's follow the process and let's do something basic. And so what I want to do is build from scratch, if at all possible, if we can get it done in the next hour, my prompt library that I built like 18 months ago. And for those of you who haven't seen it, it basically is a little thing that helps me create prompts that I can use in a modular way where I can like rip out goal, rip out context, rip out all that stuff. And I want to be able to then say, build that for me as a Streamlit app that I can run locally. And that's the goal, I think. And so what I want to do is see if we can do that in 1 hour. And so, I don't know, does that sound entertaining at the least?
Yeah, let's do it. Because I'm starting to build a very large prompt library.
Okay, starting to build a very large prompt library. Okay, so then here is what we are going to do. Oop, sorry, still got me? Okay.
Yes.
I am going to share this screen, range day, but we're going to go to ChatGPT. And inside of ChatGPT, I have a PRD builder. Come on, you can do it. Log in. Maybe it doesn't want to work for me today. There we go. Okay. Those are prompt builders, PRD builder. Here we go. All right. So this has my prompt for building a custom PRD. And I want to be very clear. We're going to build this via voice today. Okay. So I'm going to actually pull this away and I'm going to open up ChatGPT. I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to do the voice interaction with this of what I want to build. So I'm just going to go grab that GPT and we'll start by getting our PRD built. Good morning. I just want to ask if you can understand me okay and if you can talk about 3 times faster than you normally talk for me.
Absolutely. Good morning to you too. I can definitely hear you just fine. And sure, I can speed things up a bit and talk about 3 times faster if that helps. So let's just jump right in and I'll keep things nice and quick for you.
Awesome. So we're going to use this information to build this custom PRD Markdown file. And what I want is before you give me the final PRD, make sure you add your context memory to confirm with me before you give me the final output, okay?
You got it. So we'll dive into all the details and I'll definitely check in with you before I hand over that final PRD. Just think of it as a little pit stop where I confirm everything's exactly how you want it. So let's jump in and start building.
Okay, awesome. So I want to build an application I'm going to use Claude Code to design this locally using an AI tool. But what I want to build is a prompt library. And what this is ideally designed for is that users can use this to create new prompts, but they can also use it to store the prompts that they have created in a modular format that follows my specific prompt framework. The prompt framework that I have is RGCOA. RGCOA is the acronym, and it stands for Role, Goal, Context, Output, and Ask AI to Help You. Now, how this is going to look is I'd like to have a few different tabs of interaction. So the stories are, I don't want to have any login information, no authentication, just everyone's going to run this locally. I want it to run as a Streamlit application. That's Streamlit, all one word. And Streamlit is a Python based interface to make simple applications. And that's what we want to build this in. And I want the user to be able to open it up, and I want them to be able to go to a prompt building interface. And that interface is going to have 6 distinct areas. It will have an area that has a section for role, an area that has a section for goal, for context, for output, and then a very large text box at the bottom. What I want to be able to happen is the user should be able to create elements and sub little blocks of text for the role, the goal, the context, and the output. And each of those should be independently stored in a local database that is just a CSV file. I just want it to interact with the file. I don't want to have to run a database locally or anything. Let's just have a file that stores that information. So the main interface will be the user going and saying, I want to build an entire prompt. There should be a drop down in each of those sections for role, goal, context, and output, where the user can select which of the ones they've already saved they want, and that should populate a text box that is underneath that drop down so they can see it. As it populates each of those sections, role, goal, context, and output, it should add all of them together in the bottom in a very large text box that makes it easy for the user to just copy the entirety of the entire prompt. The entire prompt, again, being the collection of role, goal, context, and output. There should also be a checkbox above that box that says, do you want to ask AI to help you? And if they check that box, it should add to the very bottom of the prompt, if there are any questions that I can answer to help you create a better response, please ask me before you begin. If you feel you have enough information to begin, go ahead and just provide the response. So that's the first user story. The second user story is they should be able to click on a tab that says create new element. And in that, they should be asked, do you want to create a new role, a new goal, a new context, or a new output? And they should be able to go ahead and provide what they want, the specifics of each element of that. Then there should be and then save that and browse through them in the future. There should also be a way for them to browse elements where they can look at all the elements that are in the data set as well as edit them. There should be an edit button as they browse through that. And they should probably be in a table format. And then finally, as they build prompts on the build prompt page, if they've got one that they like, there should be a button at the bottom that says save for future use, in which case they should be able to give it a unique name, and it should save that as a separate table of information in the CSV or a separate CSV file. And then what they should be able to do is browse through all of their previously saved prompts so that if they have one that they like, they can go through, and they should be able to give it a 5-star rating. So 1 to 5 stars. And when they go to browse those, they should be able to filter by star rating. I think that's the entire application that we want to build. Tell me any questions that you have that I can help answer.
Wow, that was awesome. Thanks for laying out all that detail. Seriously, you've painted a super clear picture of what you want, and I love how you've got the whole flow thought through. So let me quickly recap what I'm hearing, and then we'll dive into any questions I have. Basically, we're building a local Streamlit app that's all about creating, storing, and managing these modular prompt elements, role, goal, context, output, and then assembling them into a full prompt with a little checkbox to add an Ask AI for help note at the end. You've also got this cool idea of letting users create new elements, browse and edit them, and even save whole assembled prompts with ratings so they can filter through them later. So my first quick question for you is just to confirm, does that all sound like I captured it right? And secondly, are you ready to jump into each section of the PRD so we can break it down piece by piece?
Now, it's basically like saying, I'm good to go to create your PRD. Are you ready? So what I'm going to do, and I talked about this earlier, is I'm going to just cancel this chat. And now I'm back to the text interface. So now I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to pin myself for the recording Jordan, just so that you know, I'm going to pin myself with the recording, and back into this chat interface. I'm going to refresh the screen, and I'm going to go down. And here's the talk faster request is what it said, but here we go. And I'm going to type in, yes, let's go. Okay. Because it's going to give me a lot of text. I don't want to listen to all that text right now. So it's going to be like, here's a few questions to fill out. Would you like to call? Whoa, it's asking me some questions. What do we want to call this app? Let's call the app Prompt Library 2.0. And that's the A question. And then B, it's asking me 1-sentence summary. How would you describe the app in 1 sentence? A simple application to create and store prompts. And then C, who is this for? For non-technical users who want a better way to store and manage their prompts. I don't know, whatever. And then D, what will this app not do? Ooh, okay. No API, no authentication, no cloud. This should run locally using Streamlit and work on a Mac or Windows. It does not need to generate new prompts on its own. What else do we not want this to do, Jordan? Like, and Steve, like, what's the left and right limits we want to add in here? We think too.
Database. So because you said it's going to have a CSV, so we want to not have it have like a full database.
Yep. Okay.
Should be portable in the sense that,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think this works. So again, I probably could have done that with voice to text, but now it's going to come through and it's going to be like, okay, it's cleaning up. Next up is the fun part, features. This is where we talk through what the app can actually do using simple user story. Like, I'll help you shape these, but what are some key actions or tasks you want users to be able to do in Prompt Library 2.0? I feel like I've told you this. I've already
You did tell her
what I want it to do. Can you just use what I've already given you? Cool. Great. So here it's confirming all the story features, right? I want to create and save prompt elements. As a user, I want to browse and edit my elements. I want to assemble the prompts. I want to optionally add, like, ask the AI for help if sucks. The prompts are more helpful. I want to save complete prompts with a star rating or tag. And I, as a user, I want my data stored in local files so that I can edit it. That looks good. All right.
Why are we calling it story 1 through 6? I mean, I know like there's 6 different things you're doing, but why are you using the word story, I guess?
Right. So from a product development perspective, story is used as a way to denote like the specific things that need to happen. What users will actually do is this user story or user journey, right? And that's very helpful when you're developing features in code because it'll do one at a time, basically.
Well, it feels like
it'll make sure they all work and it can write.
Yeah, sorry, it feels like it's short for storyboarding.
That's all it is. Yeah, it's the same thing. User stories. Yeah. All right. So then it's going to ask us more questions like, hey, what do we want the look and feel to be? Right. Here's what we need to know: overall style, colors, screens. All right. So overall style, we want. I want.
What's your branding?
Modern.
What's your branding in there?
Yeah, modern and playful. Using native Streamlit elements.
Gratuitous use of Comic Sans.
Yeah, I want
clicky
background, light text, and use a blue and orange color scheme because go Broncos. I don't know. C, key screens. Let's outline the core screens. Sounds like there might be a prompt editor, assembler, a library of saved prompts, and a screener mode for editing individual. Can I confirm that? That's good. Okay, there we go. Awesome look and feel. So again, it's walking me through the basics of understanding what do you want it to look like? How are we going to do this? So here we go. It's giving me all the things that we need here. All right, that's the full PRD. Want to take a final look before I package it up, or is there anything else you want to change? So again, it's like, hey, we're good. I'm like, great. Go ahead.
I just went stupid. What's PRD stand for again?
Right.
Too many acronyms.
Product Requirements Document is what PRD stands for. Very
I'm
good.
so happy you asked that because I'm sitting here thinking who's going to be first.
Yep. And here we go at the top. Defines the acronym first. It was listening for you, Jordan. Product Requirements Doc, PRD. All right. All right. So here's the big picture. Here's what we're making. So it's giving me this, in which case I can copy this, I can edit it, I can download it. Now, what's interesting is when it's done making this, okay, so it didn't give it to me in Markdown. It gave it to me in rendered Markdown. So what I'm going to say is, can you please give this to me as Markdown in a code block so I can copy and paste it? Question mark. All right, absolutely. Here's your full PRD in Markdown format. Just copy and paste. All right, perfect. So all it's going to do is this. So now that we've got that, what I am going to do is I'm going to drag this down for a second, and I'm going to go into my local projects directory, and I'm going to make a new folder called PL2, Prompt Library 2. And I am going to go into Cursor while that's going, and I'm going to ask it to open a folder, and we're going to do nope. We're going to do PL2. Okay. So now that we got that, just as a heads up, I'm opening up Cursor into a folder called PL2. And inside of PL2, what I am going to do is we're going to do view, and we're going to grab the terminal. There we go. Okay. So the very first thing that I'm going to do, because we're starting a new project here, and we have the code up here. So here's all the Markdown that it made now. So it's got all the different things that we need, all the stuff in a very simple manner that we can grab. So we can copy this code if we want, but we're going to do a couple things first. So coming down, now we've got our PRD. This is the thing that's much easier to do outside of Claude or an editor or anything like that. That's why we did it that way. And I'm going to make sure that we have everything kind of at size here. Here we go. Okay. Now, I've got a terminal window down here at the bottom. There's no files in my directory over here. And in fact, can you see? There we go. Okay, so here's all of, I'm running Cursor, and we're about to run Claude. So I'm going to run Claude Code inside of this terminal interface. And it's like, do you trust this interface or this directory? Yes, I do. Cool. Welcome to Claude Code. So the very first thing that I am going to do is I want to clone a repo to this directory to get started. I will initiate the init of Claude Code after that. The repo is, and I'm going to come up here and we're going to go to GitHub, and we're going to go to my Vibe MD templates. Okay. So I'm just going to grab the repo URL, and I'm going to come back down into Claude Code, and I'm going to paste it and say go. Now, Claude Code is really great. It's going to come back and go, okay, I think I understand what you want to do. I'm going to clone the repo for you. Hey, are you okay with me running Git commands? Yes, I am. And don't ask me anymore in the future. We're going to see this play out over and over and over again. Hey, are you okay with me doing this thing? And I'm going to just tell it, yeah, you're good. And it says, okay, the repo's been cloned. You'll find it in this directory. So I now have this Vibe MD templates in this directory. So what I'm going to do is go into the templates, and I'm going to go into prd.md, and I'm going to slide this down for just a sec, okay? And this is the old blank template. I don't want that anymore. What I want is this thing that we built inside of ChatGPT's voice mode. So I just copied the whole code. I'm going to come back down into Claude, Control A, delete it, paste that in, get rid of the extra lines that aren't important, and save it. Now, I'm going to make sure, yep, that captured everything. So now I've got this file saved. It's only like 60 lines. It's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but we've got the basic information in here, okay? So now that I've got that saved, what I'm going to do now is go back into this prompts directory, and we already did the create PRD. Now we need to do the setup project prompt, okay? So I'm going to grab all of this from the setup project prompt, and I'm going to say, I'd like you to run the @setup project prompt as a system prompt for you to help me populate the templates. Actually, you know what? We're going to go into plan mode really quick. I'm going to say, first, look at the entire code base to understand the Markdown files and how they are used. I'd like you to run the setup prompt as a system prompt for you to help me populate the templates for all of the rest of the Markdown files and put them in the appropriate location to work with Claude Code. I have already created the prd.md file, so don't change the contents of that file in this step. You can move that file wherever makes sense for you. All right, normally I would voice to text all of that as well, but just since we're on this video recording and stuff, I'm not going to do that. So I went into plan mode, which is the critical element here. I'm saying don't do anything. Just figure out what you're going to do. Make sure you understand all the files and everything. So it's going to read that whole repo that we pulled down, and it's going to understand. And it's like, I'll explore the code base to understand the structure and help you with this. Awesome. So now it's thinking, it's reading all the files, it's doing all the things to get a good grasp of what's going on. And it will then read the PRD file to also understand what it is we're building. Go ahead, Jordan.
So ultimately, you're using the repo that you just cloned, how to build all of whatever you're building. You're rinsing and repeating this process because you figured out, hey, these are the things that I need when I want to build myself an application. Is that what I'm gathering right now?
And like 3 weeks ago in our range day, we walked through all those templates and what they all mean and why they're important. So this is like a logical evolution from that. So again, like if you're watching this video in the future and you're totally confused, please go back and watch that one. But that's exactly it. We've pre-built a template for saying, dear Claude Code, this is how I want you to build me all the safety nets, all the important pieces of the puzzle, so that when we go into building an application, you have all the context you need to do it really well the first time. So it says, perfect. I've reviewed all the template files from your existing PRD for the prompt library. And it's basically like building a plan. Okay, so here's my plan. Like, we're going to ask about some version preferences and suggestions and all this kind of stuff. Like, we're going to do a bunch of things. We're going to populate this. We're going to do all these things. Like, and again, it's walking through. It says phase 1, infrastructure setup. We're going to figure that out. Then it's going to figure out the software bill of materials, the security configurations, the testing strategy, the workflow files, the file optimization. Are we good with this? I'm going to say yes and auto accept edits. So again, we were in plan mode. So it's building the plan. Okay, Jordan, go ahead.
So this is how you're building your applications basically for your business today, correct?
For all the things I'm doing in Claude Code, this is how I'm doing it, yeah.
Yeah, that's I must have missed that range day because like this is now not like
that's okay, yeah,
making sense. But I mean, I'm putting it together. That's where my questions are coming from because I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So now there's some stuff we could do here because what it's going to do is it's going to ask us some questions about what we want to do. And what's cool about this is you don't need to be a nerd at all. In fact, we are going to assume we're not nerds for the rest of this session, okay? So it comes down and says, hey, great, we're going to start by gathering information. What version of Python do you want to use? And I'm like, shit, I don't know. Like, but it says the latest stable version with performance improvements, a well-tested, widely compatible version, or the newest version with cutting-edge features.
Let's go 3.12. 3.12 sounds fun.
You want to go 3.12? All right, we're going 3.12, latest version. All right. What naming convention do you prefer? Snake case or camel case? Camel case, sure.
Camel sounds fun.
Yeah. How should prompt data be stored locally?
JSON.
JSON. Yeah, I like that JSON answer too. Because again, if you've walked through, JSON's just a great way to do this. Okay. Do you want automated testing for this project?
Now, of course you do.
All right. So what I want to say is we're going to set up the framework, but don't test, or set up basic unit tests. Let's do basic unit tests. Okay. And it's like, hey, we're good. Are you good? Also, yes, that label needs to go away. All right. I think we're good. So we just say, yeah, submit those answers. Great. And so Claude's going to go, all right, you gave me a bunch of information. I'm going to take the template for the infrastructure markdown file that you have, and we're going to populate the infrastructure. It's like, great, let me populate the infrastructure file with your preferences. I'll use Python 3.12, camel casing, JSON storage, and set up PyTest testing. Boom.
So you're just using Cursor because that's what you're just using right now. Like, you could, in theory, run this in Visual Code. I've got PyCharm that I'd run it in because I have Claude Code connected to that.
Yeah, to be very clear, right? I am mostly interacting with a terminal window. Yep. It just so happens to be in Cursor, so I can easily come over to the left and look at the files.
Got it. Yep.
Yep. And that's the most important part of this. I could be doing this literally in a Mac terminal window right now. Wouldn't matter. But I just find that it's a lot easier for me to go, touch files and see what's happening just to grab context. Okay. And so now it went down, and it was next going to populate information about this SBOM markdown file, which is the software bill of materials, i.e. the versioning. But it already did that for me because I gave it enough information. And so now it's like, let me configure your security settings. Since it's a local only app with no authentication external services, the security configuration will be straightforward. So it's going and just doing it already. It doesn't even ask me the questions because I've given it enough context for it to figure that out. Now, if I want to get super nerdy, if I want to get very detailed and technical, you just go change this setup project prompt. Easy to do, but I've made this in a way where it's like, just assume simplicity unless I tell you otherwise. Okay. And now, great, it's setting up the testing strategy based on my preference for PyTest. Like, I don't have to do any of this, but it's giving me, at the minimum, a consistent set of instructions in all of these markdown files so that, again, we don't have hallucinations go wild. We don't let AI Jesus take the wheel. We don't have it go, I'm just going to implement some brand new testing structure, which requires me to rewrite everything. Nope. And now, one thing that we're going to do, because this is running and doing a lot of stuff right now, I am actually going to open another terminal window. I'm going to drag this in so you can see it. Okay. And then, you update ZSH. Okay. I use ZSH as a terminal window, but what we're going to do is there's a piece of software, open source software that I've used called Claude Monitor. I'm going to fire that up real quick. Okay. Now, Claude Monitor is really cool because it shows me how much usage I have. So right now, my message usage is at 26 out of 41. So I'm probably going to hit the limit before we hit the time. And if so, I'll just upgrade my account real quick for this call, but it's fine. But it shows you kind of like how I have 4 hours and 30 minutes until the clock resets. I'll expand this out so you can see it a little more. You can see like the usage that I'm at for all the different things that I'm doing. And so when this hits, I will run out. That's it. Game over. I'll have to go upgrade. So just like know that that's a thing. All right. And this monitor is really great. I just keep this off to the side so I can kind of see how things are going. And what's neat is it says your tokens will likely run out about 1:30. Just heads up. And so for me, that's at exactly 1 hour. So, things matter on this. Oh, and I just made that window go away. So hold on. There we go. And I'll drag this out. All right, so here we go. Let me organize all the completed template files. It's good. All right, your prompt library is now configured for Claude Code. The context files provide complete information about your Streamlit-based prompt management application with JSON storage camel casing. So here we go. It made all this stuff for us. All the files are in the Claude directory. Claude's ready to go. Claude.md is in place. It shows exactly what it added in here so we can go ahead and look at what's in the system and what it did for us. Like, this is wonderful. So now we've got all these files in place. Okay, it's good. Wonderful. So now I'm going to switch back to plan. And I'm going to say, let's go ahead and design the plan to build this application that is defined in the Markdown files. And following the rules we've set in those Markdown files. And again, I'm just using normal language here, okay? But I switched back over to plan mode Very, very, very critical thing. We're not letting it just go. We want it to show us what it's going to do. Okay. So I basically said, look at all the files, build me the plan on exactly how we are going to do this. And that's what we are going to do. So
this is your human in the loop step, is by saying do it in plan mode before actually executing it.
And subtle thing, right? If you have no idea what I just talked about, inside of Gene Kim's new vibe coding book, it talks very deeply about the need to plan with AI before you ever let it go build something. And so we've just spent 32 minutes building the thing that lets us build the plan. That is what we did, okay? And if we look here, I'm going to scroll up just so we can see. It says, okay, great. I'm going to create a comprehensive implementation plan for building your prompt library. I'm going to first review all the context files to make sure I understand every requirement, and I'll design a step-by-step plan following the workflow rules designed in your Markdown files. All right, it says, perfect. I've reviewed all those files. I'll create the plan. Now let's walk through this, okay? So first off, I'm going to create a detailed plan.json file in the implementation directory with the following strategy. Now, if you walk through that previous explanation that we did of all the Markdown files, Jordan, I'm saying this for you and everybody else who's watching it along at home, there is a very specific way that we ask this system to work. It must build all of these steps. Once we agree to it, it will build them as a separate JSON file that is called plan.json. It talks about it right here, okay? That file is basically us building out a little to-do list of context that it will update every time it finishes one of these. So on the off chance that the context window gets blown or it loses its mind, we just start a new context window or wait for the tokens to reset and say, check the plan and keep going from where you left off. It's a safety net. And it's also a great way for us to monitor along where things are at if it's just running for a long time on its own. So here's the plan. Initialize the project structure, create the directories, set up a Git repository, initialize Git and create the initial commit, create data handler utilities, build the core functions for uploading and saving JSON files, and then create test functions like set up PyTest structure. Then it's going to build the prompt element manager. It's going to build the prompt assembly engine. It's going to build the filtering and sorting capabilities. It's going to create the prompt assembler screen. It's going through, right? Here's how to edit. We're going to build the main app.py with a Streamlit sidebar navigation, applying a dark theme is step 14, right? And then all the way down till final testing and bug fixes. What do we think? We're just going to say yes for today, but like we're good. This feels great, okay? So I'm going to say yes and auto-accept edits. Now, there's one thing in there that it talked about, which was coming up near the top here. It was like get the GitHub repo set up. So I have already authenticated with GitHub on my local computer in this terminal window. So normally, if you're watching along at home and trying to do this, you will need to go do that step. It will prompt you how to do it. It will give you step-by-step instructions. If it doesn't and it says, hey, go set up GitHub, just say, how do I do that? And it will walk you through click by click. But for now, that's just one thing we need to know about. So I'm going to say, yep, accept, and go. So if we go to our, hold on, where did it say it was going to be? In the implementation directory. So the very first thing we should see is that there's going to be a .implementation directory created over here on the side.
There it is.
Boom, there it is. And then it's going to make a file inside of it called plan.json, which it has not done yet. I expanded this triangle down. So as soon as it happens, it'll pop up right here. We're just going to keep an eye on that because that'll be the next step. And we are reaching one of the first potential like limiters of Claude Code. So we might actually run into a thing where it goes, bam, you ran out of tokens or ran out of context. We'll see how long that takes. But for now, just know that like, it's going to do a thing. So it's just running through and thinking about what it's going to do. So it's basically creating the JSON as necessary and then like trying to figure out how to build that JSON file in the right way. It takes a little bit of time for it to do that. While that's happening, I'm actually going to go over to my Claude window and prepare to upgrade to one of the max plans while we're doing this, just because, you know, it's a whole thing.
Why aren't you on a monthly max plan? Because the CFO won't let you right now?
No, so I'm not on the monthly max plan simply because y'all like I haven't needed to just yet. So, you know, we'll get there.
I feel like you've just blown my mind because I think I missed the range day that you were talking about specifically this and your template stuff. Because I've been like when you've been telling me you need to just go build an application, I'm like, Yeah. And now that I just can go clone your repo, like, okay.
Listen, this is why I did it this way, man. This is why the very first thing that I did was, how do I get started? You know what I mean?
And that was when you were telling me a few weeks ago, like, you're probably at the point to just get out of the, like, N8N has its thing, but you're like, hey, you need to probably go build a couple of programs. And now my head's wrapping around that. Mind you, while you guys were talking about the vibe coding, of course I had to go get on Amazon to go look for the book.
It's really good. I got to read multiple versions of it as it was being developed. And very selfishly, I am on the thank you page of that book. So just like understand I am biased, but I love Gene. I love the books that he's written. I have the Phoenix Project and the Unicorn Project and many other things he's done sitting on my shelves. Like it's good stuff. So
should I do the Audible version to listen to it so I don't have to read it? Or what's your thought on the Audible side of, because I know you mentioned like you love your Audible subscription.
So, and Jordan, just to check in, right? It has built the plan.json file. In fact, I'm going to open it and I'm going to slide this way down real quick. And like, here's all the steps as JSON with like statuses, and it's all pending. You know, initialize the project is completed. Now set up the Git version pending. So if we come back, it's following that plan. And here we go. Here's what we need to do. It's going to try, it says, hey, I want to init this and create an initial project structure and dependencies. Do you want to proceed? And I'm going to be like, you know what? Yes. And don't ask me again for Git commands. I'll just say yes for one, whatever. That's fine. I'm just basically, it checked in. Now, This is a new project, but I will tell you another thing, and you can just ask Claude, Sonnet how to do this later. I will always set up a sound effect. So anytime it comes back and asks me a question, my computer goes boop or something, because you will go do other things. And you'll come back and realize it's been waiting on you to give it an answer for 20 minutes. You're like, shit. And so just realize that setting up a sound effect can be very, very useful. So it's going through and it says, okay, great. I'm doing all this GitHub stuff. I'm creating this complex. Oh, look what it did. It updated step 2 of the project plan, the plan.json. And now it's going and it's just making more. It's just executing the plan. It understands how to write the test. It understands what we're trying to do.
So it's going back as it goes through the plan.json, and it says, oh, I finished that step. So I go back, I update that so it knows that task has been completed, and just in serial order, it just keeps going one to the next.
That's right. Yeah. And like if there's specific code it's writing, it'll start writing tests for it too by following the testing framework that we gave it with PyTest, again, which is a total rabbit hole you can go down, but just like it will make sure it didn't break things when it makes new things is really what it's trying to do there. And real quick, it's asking us, it's saying, hey, you told me I could set the Git repo up, but can I add files and commit now? And I'm going to say, yeah. And also don't ask me again for Git commands. I trust you that you can push my code to the repo because that's pretty risk-free. So, yep. And so now it's just going to keep going. It's going to say, okay, we're initializing the project structure still by setting up the GitHub repo. It's adding all the files that are local to this system to the repository, and then it's pushing that new code up to GitHub. And if we switch over and go to GitHub and go to my thing here and look at all the repos that I have, it hasn't actually made the repo push up to GitHub yet. It's just installed it locally. So that will come here in a couple seconds. So just, we just wait. Yeah, we're still, so we can come down here and say, all right, it's setting up the testing infrastructure. And again, at some point, I'll go through and say, okay, when are we ready to push the code up to GitHub? I could also come up to GitHub and create a repo inside of GitHub and then come back and say, this is the actual repo I want you to use. Please push the code. So a lot that could be done here, okay? Oh, and you know what? So here's where things get a little tricky. Do you know what it might be doing? It might actually be overwriting my repo that it cloned initially. Something to think about. I didn't tell it to initialize a brand new repo. So actually, if I go in here and I go to my Vibe templates, Okay, it's updated last month. Okay, cool. So it's not doing that, which is cool. But like, I just had an instant fear there of like, wait, is it just overriding all the stuff that I told it? No, it's not. Thank goodness. So yeah, we're good on this. So now it's building the prompt element manager module. So it's already starting to design some of the interfaces and go through here. And this is interesting. We still have 19 minutes to go. This might actually get close. I don't know. Ooh, one of the things too, if we look over at Claude Monitor, I'm going to drag this in here real quick. We can see that it's telling us that our tokens are going to run out pretty soon. It says that my cost usage is already blown, but I think these numbers are wrong right now. Usually you get about $8 worth of token usage before it kicks you out. So I think I'm doing okay right now. Just, but keeping an eye on it so that we can see what's happening. And if I upgrade to max, all that will go away. But yeah, so we can look through here as what it's doing. Again, like step 1, it's completed this. You'll notice it also has these Git hashes inside of the project plan. And this is a really interesting thing where if something ever goes crazy, right, you can always tell it to revert back to this Git hash, and it will basically checkpoint itself back to where the code was, which is very, very useful the more complex stuff you do. And so as you can see, it is now like pushing these to GitHub. It's pushing them up. And at any point, next time it comes back and actually like asks me for anything, I'll just ask it to tell me where that code is. So again, like it just goes. And we gave it the spec of what we wanted. We said, this is the application that we are designing. This is what we want it to look like. Like, this is how we want it to run, all that kind of stuff. And that is basically like, if you're in a business that's building software, you're the project owner, and you just gave that to the project manager. And the project manager is off talking to the engineers and the front end designers and the back end designers and the data designers and all that kind of stuff. And like, you don't see what's happening. You don't care how the sausage is made. It's just doing stuff. And so it's already on step 7. So if I go into plan.json here and scroll down, you'll see it's right here. It's on build the filtering and sorting modules. So like, we're just waiting. And it says now that's completed. And so now we're going on to step 8, create the prompt element editor, Streamlit components. So, I mean, we've got 18 steps, and we're on step 8 already of building this thing. Now, we're going to keep this going. We're going to see what happens. Again, like, this takes time. We're still going through this. Core business logic is complete. Now executing step 8, the prompt element editor. All right. And if we start looking, like we have a lot of different things inside of this now. We have components and data and tests directories over here that are all being populated with stuff. A lot of new things. And we have prompt elements.json has been created, a saved prompts.json. We can open that up and take a look. It's currently empty. Both of them are, but they're empty JSON files, just as a quick heads up. Just things to think about. All right, so now we are pushing stuff. It's pushing to Git, so I think it's probably done with step 8 and likely coming in. Yeah, it's updating. It's on to step 9. It says now I'm executing step 10 and 11, creating the prompt assembler and screen components with saving functionality. Now look, the fact that it hasn't stopped and asked me for a question in the near recent past makes me a little nervous. We'll see how it goes. And let's talk for a second about the progress that has happened in the last few months with this sort of stuff. With Sonnet 4.5 coming out from Claude, this has gotten really incredible, the quality-wise. I first built a prompt library in Streamlit using Cursor raw with like ChatGPT 3, I think it was, or something, back in the day. And it was not great. Like, I had to do a lot. It broke a lot. I had to go in and, fix lines of code myself from time to time. And that was 18 months ago. The world is not the same. These systems are incredibly talented, like incredibly talented, and really, really fully featured in order to do this. And so, I'm pretty confident that when this is done, something will have happened. And look, we might have to do some stuff about like installing Streamlit. Like, I haven't seen a step on here for it to actually install that piece of software. However, I think I already have Streamlit installed on my computer. And so it may have actually run a command to test that and seen, oh, you're good. Again, things we'll have to figure out here in a second, but just so much is happening right now behind the scenes that we are not having to write any code for. And that is truly remarkable when it comes to building something locally. And if we can get this done in the next 14 minutes, which at the speed this is going might be totally possible, that will be pretty amazing, I think, at the end of the day. Like a remarkable achievement for us being able to make a thing that is useful to us in a very short amount of time. And let's be very clear, we'll go back and look at the timestamps on this, but I think we spent the first 32 minutes just like writing down what we wanted, right? What's the like, I don't remember, this is like a Abraham Lincoln quote or something. It was like, if I need to chop down a tree and I only have an hour, I'm going to spend the first 55 minutes sharpening the axe or something. I'm butchering that quote, but you get the idea. Like, that's what we're talking about here, is if you put the effort in up front, which is exactly why I have made that get started with vibe coding Markdown file GitHub repo it's public, grab it, anybody, right? Like, that's why I made that. It's because it helps you through normal language, not needing to know anything about anything. Get started. Just you clone the repo, ask AI how to do that, ask GitHub, ask Claude Code how to do that, clone the repo, and then there's two prompts. The prompt to build the PRD, which you can do right inside of Claude Code or any editor that you want, or do right inside of ChatGPT. I built a custom GPT that does that for me. It's the exact same prompt. And then once you have the PRD, you update the PRD.markdown file and then run the, I think it's called, setup project. That's it. Like .prompt. It's right here. It's in the repo. And you just tell it, just like I did, run that prompt as a system prompt, ask me all the questions you need based on what I've given you in the PRD. And so like that's all it will need to do. And you're started. And again, like, I understand that is not a zero barrier to entry, for the record. Like, I just said a lot of words that make people go, wait, what? But like, that's totally doable. And it's tough to make it more approachable without making it like an iPhone app or something, which, hey, maybe I need to do that. We'll see. Oh, all right, hold on now. We got something here. Application is complete. I'm now executing step 15, writing comprehensive unit tests for all the utility modules. Due to message length, I'm going to provide a summary of the implementation progress and next steps. In other words, I did a lot. I want to give you an update. So we've done steps 1 through 14. We did all the stuff. And now in progress is unit tests for all the utilities and integration tests for end-to-end workflows and README. The prompt library application is now fully functional. All commits follow conventional commit format, and the plan.json file tracks the progress. And so it says, would you like me to continue with implementing the remaining test files, documentation, and final polish? It's checking in. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, before we begin the next steps, how can I see the application right now? I'm asking it a question. Hey, educate me as the user. What can I do here? Okay. And it's going to say, okay, hold on just a second. I'm just, I'm going through this and figuring out exactly what to tell you. So here. All right. So to run the application, you need to install some dependencies and start the application. To access the app, it will automatically open in your browser when you do that. And when you do, this is what you'll see. And so this is what it's saying. So what we're going to try real quick is I'm going to open another terminal window. I'm going to bring that in so you can see it, and I'm going to blow it up quite a bit so that we can just see this text a little bit better. And woof, that got a little crazy. Clear is the magic word. Okay. So I'm going to say PWD, which is print working directory. So I'm just here. I want to go to project. Hold on. CD desktop. Yeah. And then projects, and then prompt library 2. Yep. And then I do an ls, which shows me the components inside of this. There's app.py, which is what I'm looking for. That's how you run a Streamlit application. So if we come back over to this real quick, it says you need to install the requirements with pip. So let's actually, here's what I'm going to say. Can you please install those requirements for me and then run the Streamlit app for me too? I'm not even going to do it. Screw that. I just went to double check that it was in the right place. Like, YOLO. Hey, I don't even want to do that. You do it, AI. Let's see what it says. Now remember, we still have everything in our plan.json. So like, we're just asking it questions on a pause. It's like, great, I'm going to install these dependencies. Are you cool with it? I'm like, yeah. And don't even ask me for pip install commands. Like, go do what you need to do. Okay. So what it's going to say is I couldn't find pip because I'm not running pip. I'm running pip 3, which is the Python 3 interpreter of it. And so it's like, great, let me try with pip 3. Yes, I love it. Are you okay with me doing pip 3 commands? Yes, I am okay. Now, again, that's really interesting stuff where it's like, hey, if you want to install stuff, I actually don't use pip 3, I use brew, right? So this is like this layers of this on my own internal development environment. It's figuring it out. Like, are you okay with me using source commands? Yeah, go for it. So again, I'm giving it the sort of YOLO mode. It's building environments for us. In Python, this is getting nerdy for a second. In Python, you can build an environment that protects you from like letting the application go out and do other things. I generally use Anaconda to manage those. I have an entire video on my YouTube channel about managing Anaconda really easily. It's a GUI interface that makes it real simple. You don't have to think too much about it, but it's going to just do all this for us. And it's done. It says, hey, we got it. We're done. Do you want us to go ahead and run the Streamlit commands? Yep, I do. So real quick, I just switch screens. It opened this in my browser for me. I clicked 0 buttons. This just appeared in my browser. And here it is. Wow, look at this. Okay. So no elements found. Please create some elements in the element editor field. Made with love using Streamlit. Data stored locally in the data. Okay, this is interesting. I'll click over to element editor. Oh, cool. Roll. You are an Oompa Loompa. I don't know how to spell Oompa Loompa, but we're going to do that. Save element as a role. Okay, and now we have the role saved. Then I can just click an edit button. Oh, snap. Look at this. Also, everybody, I live in dark mode. I'm going to actually, we asked it to be in dark mode. This is not an aftermarket dark mode. You're looking at the actual interface right now, just as a heads up, okay? Let's keep going with this. So we made some roles. Let's make a new goal. What's our goal going to be? Create a song. And again, I'm making terrible prompts real quick, but just, ooh, element could not be empty. Context, create a song, please. Save element. Ooh, okay, so maybe we found a little bug in here, which is why we want to run unit tests, right, everybody? Let's see if we can write a song. Save element. Okay, yeah, so there's something broken with that. We can make roles, but we can't make anything else, it looks like. But I mean, look at this. It's running, right? Like, we're missing types and stuff like that. There's some stuff that's broken. And there's an about. It like gives them stuff. And this is not terrible. It's got a little expand button up here. Like, we didn't do anything. This is pretty great. And so let's go back down to Claude now and say, hold on. Not what I wanted to do. Yeah, okay. We're going to go down to Claude and say, awesome. That is loading for me. Let's continue with the plan. We got 6 minutes to see if it can write all these unit tests and see if it can get that thing fixed and figured out for us. So let's see what's up.
So when you switch over to standard API keys, how much have you spent roughly?
Oh yeah, that's a great thing to look at. I'm going to drag this back in because this tells you I've spent $3.60. If I was using standard API keys, stress. I use the $20 a month plan in this moment. Again, if I run out of tokens, I'm going to upgrade, but like $20 a month, and you can use about $8 every 5 hours worth of API tokens. And so Claude is weird. Like, they do this 5-hour rolling window, and like it's not user friendly. I'm not going to lie to you. Like how the sort of like quota and metrics of like making you stop for a while. But I usually get somewhere about $8 worth of API tokens before it goes, you're done. You're done. Oh, do you see down here at the bottom? It just said this. You have exceeded the maximum cost limit. So I expect that we're probably going to hit this at some point, or this is configured incorrectly. Because like I said, I usually get about $8 a day. It thinks, this software, that for some reason $1.70 is the max that I can get. So it's letting me know, and this is open source software, y'all. You get what you get. I haven't found a better way to monitor this. So if anyone does find a better way to monitor this, please drop, comment and thing down below or whatever. We're doing this real time. But if we look over here, it's writing a bunch of tests, which is kind of cool. Like it's going through and doing PyTest, and you can scroll, but it's doing a lot of them. But this is probably going to take a bit because it's going to go through each iterative session. It's going to try and load it. It's going to use the Streamlit API inside of that virtual environment that it created to test that these commands are actually working and that it can do stuff. But once these tests are done and it comes back, it's going to say, hey, we think we're good. I will again go back into the application where we just saw it fail, and hopefully I may just like keep this recording going because we're not going to stop at the time. That'd be dumb right now. We're doing too much fun shit.
So why are we choosing Streamlit? Like I
great question.
Like build on
great
Rust,
question.
all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
So like why Streamlit?
Okay, so because you got to pick something at the end of the day, right? And what I didn't want this to do is us have to worry about like routers and interpreters for Python, because then you have to get into like Python frameworks like Flask and React and things like that. Or I'm sorry, Flask and what's the other one? Jordan, do you remember? Anyway, Flask is like the one that I end up using pretty regularly. Streamlit's just great because Streamlit is this like out of the box thing. It's super fast to install. You don't have to know a lot. Like I use Streamlit for really small applications that need to be visual. But there's 1,000 ways you can do this. I'm just choosing Streamlit because that's how I built it 18 months ago, and I want to show a modern version. However, we got a little question here. It says, perfect. Let me commit all the test files and verify them. Are you cool with me doing this verification command right now to run the tests? And I'm like, yep. And don't ask me to run those tests again. You can run them yourself. So now it's going to run all the tests that it just wrote and see if things work. Let's hope that at least one of those fails, because as we saw, we couldn't create a goal. However, I want to kind of hopefully see some troubleshooting. All exceeded the 70-cent target set for test.md. Let me set up the plan and create the README documentation. All right, so it's basically saying we're good. All 50 tests passed. So since all 50 tests passed, we know it's at least missing a few tests based on our interface earlier that we saw, right? And so we're going to let this go. It's going to create the documentation and plan. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to try some troubleshooting together. Yeah. So it's creating the comprehensive README right now, which is great. And we're going to also ask it here in a second, like, tell me where to go to look at the GitHub repo of this code, because I want to be able to show you all where that lives, because we asked it to push things to GitHub. Okay. Let's see where this is going to go. So it's still working on this. Okay. So this takes a little bit. Jordan, what are the questions you got top of mind right now?
I was just trying to Streamlit is just, simplicity wise, I get that. You're using Flask mostly. Mostly for.
Oh, you mean like for other projects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just thinking through this from not making it complicated. Like, right. I get where you're coming from here. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just walk through the basics of this. If you were going to actually build like an application that you needed to host on a cloud provider or something, and you wanted more than one person to have access to, like, you can take this and go very complicated with it. And that would change a lot of the questions that it asked us in the beginning, right? It would start asking like, where, in which cloud provider, what service are you going to host it on, blah, blah, what database are you going to use? For example, when I do like much more interactive applications, like I have a task application that I have built that is very custom to me. I only use it for myself, but it's hosted as a container on Google Cloud. It runs a Supabase backend database system, and it runs Python with Flask, and it uses Tailwind CSS. It's like I'm very specific about the technology stacks I want to use, and so that's like a totally different setup than what we're doing now, and also a lot more upfront work and a lot more fiddly after work, but it's fun, and it just depends on what you need. So now what it is doing is it's doing the final testing and polish for the version 0.1 release, and then it's going to be done. So it's like running a bunch of stuff, pushing the GitHub repo. Yeah, this is looking like it's pretty much going to be done in just a couple seconds, I think. And we'll see what's up. And now it's updating with the final Git hash. Yeah, it's wrapping up right now. So it's going to edit that quick file and then come through. All right. So then we should be real close to being able to test this thing, because all it's going to be doing is a few other pieces of this puzzle. All right. And just as a heads up, I'm at $4.46 of API spend if we were using pay-as-you-go API spend. But we're not. We're on a subscription plan. So I've still not hit my thing. All right, here we go. Prompt Library 2.0 is complete and ready to use. The app is still running in the background. Feel free to continue exploring and creating prompts. So let's go back up to the top. Here is this new version of the application. And let's go to Element Editor and let's see if it happened to fix the goal. Write a song. Save element. Okay. Element cannot be empty. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. And then I'm going to drag that screenshot. Oh, wait, hold on a sec. I'm going to drag that screenshot into the editor. And it's going to show that it just does this. And I'm going to say, when I try to create an element under the prompt element, spelled right, editor, and it's still spelled wrong, but it doesn't matter. I get an error trying to create a goal. Can you help me identify why that could be happening? Now, I am going to switch to plan mode. Very critical when you troubleshoot. I gave it the screenshot that shows the thingy, the exact error. I gave it the screenshot that shows this right here. And I typed out the exact stuff that needs to happen for this system. And I'm going to click enter on this. And it's going to say, first and foremost, am I okay to read that screenshot? Because now we're asking it to go outside of its project directory and read from the desktop, which is where I grabbed that screenshot. And it's going to say, yep, you can read that screenshot. Yes, go on. And now it's going to say, great. It's going to read that screenshot. So again, like, by the way, I just had a pumpkin spice latte delivered to me. Life is truly a gift and amazing. It's going to be a good day, y'all. It's going to be a good day. Happy vibe coding. Great. It says, I can see the issue from your screenshot. The error shows element context cannot be empty, but there's something interesting. The element shows the role selected, yet the placeholder text said enter content for your goal element. This suggests there might be a state synchronization issue between the dropdown and the text area. Let me investigate this to try to find the root cause. So it's now investigating this. Now, what I could do is, okay, so it came in and it says, hey, hold on a sec. We've got options. I can remove the dynamic placeholder or fix the element form. So what I'm going to say is, real quick update. When I chose goal from the dropdown and typed in a goal and clicked save element, then it gave me the error that is shown in the screenshot and reverted the drop down to role and removed the text I had added to the element context is what it's called. If you look up here, I'm just reading these names up here, the role and element context. So that's all I'm going to type in to the element context. Just so you know, make sure you think about the options again with that info. So I'm basically saying, hey, it sounds like you think I'm not saying what you thought I was saying, or you're reading the screenshot as literal. I need to give you the story, the user story that happened to me that caused the error. And so that's what I just gave it. And so again, we're still in plan mode. Vitally important to remember, we are still in plan mode. And so it's going to say, okay, it's going to, all right, we got to talk about this real quick. It is now compacting the conversation. I zoom in, compacting conversation. So we hit our context window limit in that moment, just there, that added little bit. Screenshots use a ton of context. And so that like sometimes can be useful, very useful. But when it reaches its limit of saying, I'm out of tokens, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do, it does know what to do. It starts to compact the conversation. And so what it's going to do is say, it's going to summarize a lot of the stuff that's happened. So if you look, I mean, I can scroll for a long time back through what we just did. All of that is in its context window. And so it's going and removing and compacting all that context window so that it can have more space to think and more space to add and remove stuff. This like takes time is the unfortunate reality of this. And so we're going to wait. We're going to talk a little bit while this is happening because I think this is like still very useful for us to go through. And what's nice is that compacting of context does not actually burn any tokens. I'm up to $5.09 to build this system if I was paying as I go, but I'm not. So just something to think of. And you can sort of watch this, how it's going down. It's adding tokens. So it's summarizing and it's using tokens, but it's doing it in a lot of different ways. So boom, here we go. So now it just wiped out the context window. You see that? Like it's gone. All that is gone. And it's reinitializing and going through the next steps. So it says, hey, I understand the issue. The clear on submit equals true parameter is clearing the input form immediately when you click submit, which happens before the validation check runs. And that's why your typed content sees the error. Let me fix that by changing the form's behavior. So we're still in plan. And now it's saying, okay, great. Here's the element. Here's the solution. Am I okay to do this solution and test to verify that it works? This is exactly what I wanted. It found the problem. It said, I know how to fix it. And I'm going to write the tests so that I can test it in the future and make sure. Yes, auto accept your edits. Go, Claude Code. Be amazing. One cool thing about Claude Code also is that every time it runs, it has a new weird message that it says. So right now it's hurting. Previously, or as you can see, every time it does something, it'll go through. But it says, all right, done. I fixed it. So you should now see this. Refresh your Streamlit app in the browser, which I'll just go ahead and do up here. So I just refreshed. I'll do it one more time. Here's a refresh. Let's go to the element editor. That one role, the Oompa Loompa, is still there. Now let's do goal. And our goal again is to write a song or a children's rhyming song. I'm going to spell rhyming terrible. And we're going to copy this just in case because I'm sick of typing it. Save. Element context cannot be empty, and it did not save. So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to grab this screenshot again. Oh, wait. Sorry, that's a upsell button. I don't need to click that. We're going to try one more time. Just refresh. Your Oompa Loompa is there. Let's go to element editor. Let's add another role real quick and say you are Willy Wonka. Let's see if we can save more than one. Yep, that still works. So we know that goal is broken. The goal, write a children's rhyming song, still doesn't work. Let's just check context. The song should be about candy. Will this work? No, it definitely does not. So no matter what, I'm going to take one last screenshot of this real quick, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to drag this screenshot over into the window and say that's click. That still doesn't seem to be working. I can create a role, but nothing else. Each time I try to choose something else and type in the box and click save, I get the error message, and it does not save the element. Okay, so we're going to give this to it again. And this becomes the game of whack-a-mole that you play, right? And yes, you can have access to see my screenshot. Now, I still haven't asked it where the GitHub repo is and where it pushed it to and all that kind of stuff, but we can just this is all going to keep going. It's going to read that screenshot. It's going to keep going. And as we can see, as it's doing things, we can watch the token count here continue to climb. So 744, 770, 800, it's keeping on its way. This is all context that it is using, okay? And it's I see you selected context. The error is still appearing. This suggests the Streamlit app hasn't reloaded my code changes. Let me check if Streamlit detected the file changes. Bloop. All right, so it's doing some things. It's reading some shell output. It's looking at the local interface. Let's see what's up. All right, the Streamlit server hasn't detected the file change yet. So please refresh your browser page or click the always rerun button in the top right corner of the Streamlit app. All right, so let's go back up to the app real quick. Is there an always rerun? Developer clear cache. I don't see a rerun. Okay. All right, we click that rerun button. Let's see if this works now. So roll. Okay, we did Willy Wonka. Be a reporter. I don't know. We're just doing some basic stuff here. All right. Well, now that even be a reporter didn't work. Hold on. Element editor. Create a new role. Role. Be a reporter. Save the element. All right, so that works. Let's refresh the screen again. Element editor. We're just testing some stuff out here. Goal, write a children's song, save element. Nope, still broken. So it said down here, if refreshing doesn't work, I may need to restart the Streamlit server. I'm going to say, please restart the server. Okay, so again, I don't need to type a command. I don't need to go kill that virtual environment or that Python process. It'll do all that for me. And because it's going to do some kill commands, it might actually have to ask me for permission. I'm going to come down here. Oh, if we go to the top, it's restarting in real time. So boom, 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 all these things just happened. That screen just refreshed. If I come back down here, it ran the kill command in the console. So it's now restarted. It says, okay, great. Now it should be up and running again. All right, so let's see if it took the changes this time, okay? So now I'm going to go to element editor. It still has the Oompa Loompa beer reporter Willy Wonka. Let's just go straight to goal. Let's type in the children's song. Let's save the element. Did not work. Okay. So we're going to take one more screenshot. I'm going to come back down. We are going to grab this and drag it over and say, nope, still didn't work. Still didn't work. Still didn't work. I'd like you to think about why this might not be working. So now I'm in a troubleshooting mode where I'm like, you are just doing stuff and it doesn't seem like right. So I'm going to actually switch back to plan mode. So I just shift tab on my keyboard, which as you can see, moved us into plan mode. So I'm saying, step back, think for a sec, try and identify what could be the problem here. And now we are at about 40-ish minutes of building this application. If we look at this, I'm about $5.42 in if I'm using API calls. It says, hey, we want to read some screenshots. Are we cool with that? Yep, go ahead and read that screenshot. I'm just showing it again. And so again, we restarted the Streamlit server, so we know no matter what, we've done everything that we possibly can here in order to try and get this stuff. I'm going to close these files up here at the top so that we just have a blank screen for right now. We don't need to actually look at much of this stuff. And we're just letting this kind of figure it out. So I can see the dropdown is staying as goal now, not reverting to role, which means my partial fixed work, but you're still getting the empty content error message. Let me investigate what's happening. Awesome. It's gaining a little bit more information about what's happening. It's starting to go research. Looking at your screenshot, I noticed the text area is showing the placeholder and or the content, which only appears when the field is actually empty. Let me ask a clarifying question. All right. When you click save element, is there actual text typed in the element context box? I said, I typed text and can see it in the box before clicking save. Yep, that is what's happening. So, or the box appears empty when I click save, or the text is there, but grayed out. All right, I typed text is what I'm going to say here. It's just asking me like, hey, real quick, clarifying question. What did you actually do? So cool. And maybe it lost that when it compacted. I don't know, but I'm glad that it asked me, right? And so different things that it's doing. All right. So now
at the point where we're finagling. So really, I think that's the next step to begging. So really, it's.
Yeah, and I mean, here it goes. It says, hey, there's some possible issues. Let me investigate. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to we're going to build a plan for how to diagnose this. So I'm going to run these steps. I'm going to delete the cache. I'm going to hard refresh the browser. I'm going to add debug logging to see if I can see what's happening. And then we're going to go through. Are we okay to do this? Yeah, man, I don't care. You're driving at this point there, AI. I'm just here to make sure I supervise and nothing gets super crazy. So it's going to go ahead and start to do all this stuff. All right. Are you cool with me finding files? Yep. And don't ask me for find commands in the future. I want you to be able to find anything you want whenever you want. One note about this too is that you got to make sure that every time you start a new Claude project, it will ask you to do stuff, right? You can give it what's called YOLO mode, which is where you tell it, don't ask me any permissions, just go do all the things. That is super dangerous. I don't recommend that. So just a thing. Now, if I switch back over, it's refreshing the entire browser again. And so as you can see, if we come back down, it says, hey, I killed the shell. And so I need to run it in the background and make sure that it's up. So now it's back up and running. Perfect. The server has restarted with debug logging. So it added the debug logging. So it says now hard refresh your browser to clear any cache, which is Command-Shift-R on a Mac. So cool. Command-Shift-R. There we go. I hard refreshed the browser window up here. And then the next instructions say navigate to the page and try creating a goal element again. All right, so we're going to go to element editor. We're going to try and make a goal. We're going to paste in write a children's song, click save. Debug, goal, element content, nothing. Context length, 0. All right. And so basically it wants to see what came out of that error logic. So it's kind of cool. It put it there because it realized we are giving it a screenshot. So it's like, hey, I'm going to give you the information in the screenshot. So I just took the screenshot on my Mac. I'm going to drag this over now and say, click in here, say error still there. And the debug info is in the screenshot. Then again, you don't really need to tell it that. I could just give it the screenshot and say, go. It will read the screenshot and understand what I'm saying. I just like, it makes me feel better as a human. All right. Can I read that screenshot? Yes, you can. I need to figure out a better way to do this. I know if you have a better way to do this, please, if you're watching this future, let me know down in the comments how I can make these screenshots, not always ask me to read them every single time. And I'm sure I could just ask Claude to tell me how to do that too. But when we get there, when this application's up and running, cool. All right. So you kind of see how this ends up going. And I think it's really important to call out what we just did is when we ran into a problem and said, ooh, okay, I don't think you're getting it. I went back to plan mode and said, zoom out, look at the code again, try and identify all the problems and what could fix it. Let's look at this. The form is receiving an empty string, even though you type text. The element type goal is receiving correctly, but the text area is empty. This suggests that Streamlit form bug where changing the dropdown might be causing the text area to lose its value when the form submits. Let me fix this by using session state to properly manage the form's value. Okay. Now let me try a more comprehensive fix to replace the form with something else. What did that say? Replacing the form with a session state-based widget. Ooh, all right, let's see what happens here. I'm interested. All right. It is now restarting the server again. I can see that because it's reloading the whole page. I just switched back up here. All right, and so if we come back down, it's showing us, yep, we're you can now access Streamlit in your browser. So it just refreshed the whole thing. All right, what's it say? All right, so now why this fixes the problem. Next step, refresh your browser with a hard refresh. So again, Command-Shift-R on my Mac. I just did that. And try creating a new goal. All right, everybody. 5th time's the charm or whatever. Goal. Write a children's song. Write a children's song. Goal successfully created. Oh, write a children's rhyming song is in our interface. Now, there's still an error here that says cannot be modified after the widget key. So I'm going to actually just copy this. I'm copying the text from the top of the screen, and I'm going to come back down, and I'm going to say, that worked to create the goal. However, it still gave me an error at the end that said, and I'm going to just put it in there. And while I'm doing this, I'm now going to go to context. And what was the context that we wanted to add? Make the song about candy. Let's see if that works. Okay. And now we have make the song about candy and output. All right. So up at the top, I was just able to actually make context that says make the song about candy. So it's working for all the elements right now. So if we come back down, it says the form is now capturing content, but there's an error when trying to clear the form after saving. This is a Streamlit limitation. We can't modify session state for a widget after it's been created on the same run. Okay. And now look, session limit reached, resets at 5 p.m. And so I'm going to do the darn thing. Real time, everybody. Spending money. All right. So I just upgraded to max 5x. And I agree that they're going to charge my credit card and stuff. So now that we've done that, hold on a second. It takes a second to validate. And successfully upgraded. All right. I just upgraded. Let's go. And it's moving. So our session limit, it's just going to pick right back up where it left off. Okay. Now, real quick, if I come back over to here, I'm at $6. So I told you it was like $8 a day. I probably hit either the token or the message limit. And considering I'm at 145, I think I hit the message limit. There's 3 things that it measures you on, which is the cost, tokens, and the message size. So once I hit one of those, I was toast. So Now at least we've got this, and it's gonna see if about getting the fix in place. All right, now I fixed the app. It's now running here. You should be able to create all element types without losing your test, and the form will automatically clear, and no more error messages about session state. Refresh the browser. Try again. So let's go up here. We'll do one more time. Hard refresh. Great. Element editor. Let's create an output. Should be a 10-line song that rhymes. I don't know. I think that's correct. Okay, save. And there it is. It added it. No error message. All things are great. Okay, so now we can edit our elements. And in fact, let's make sure you're an Oompa Loompa. Let's edit this. You are an Oompa Loompa with 20 years of experience. Save changes. Hey, it works. All right, and then I'm going to get rid of your reporter trash. Are you sure you want to delete it? Ooh, that's nice. Confirmation stuff. We didn't even ask for that, but it gave it to us. All right, so it looks like the element editor is working perfectly. Let's look at the prompt assembler. So now we've got, okay, select the prompt elements that you want, and then should you add a helper note to ask the AI for help if you're stuck? Okay, so I want to do the Oompa Loompa, writing a children's song about candy. That's a 10-line song. And so here, role, goal, context, output format, boom. And then I want to check the box. Okay, this didn't do exactly what we wanted, this ask for help. So I could come back in and do this in a second. But let's go through and look at this. So like, here's the rating system. Save prompt, rating 0 to 5 stars, and tags. All right, we didn't ask it for tags, but okay. And what I want to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to say 5 stars. And we're not going to have the checkbox here. And I'm going to say save the prompt. Oh, we got balloons. All right. I kind of love that it gave that weird element. I know, it's really ridiculous, isn't it? And then it saved it with an ID. It's telling us, I think, the local ID that it's using for the CSV. All right, so let's see what's up. If I go to saved prompt library, here it is. This is interesting. Okay, and save prompts is down at the bottom. And then I can view full. I can copy the whole thing. I can edit it. And here's the 5-star rating. And here's the ID. So if I view full, here's the whole thing. I can just copy that now and go to any editor that I want. I think this is kind of working. Not going to lie to you. If I click on the edit button, oh, it lets me edit the metadata, not the actual prompt itself. Okay, so I get it. Cool. So look, is this perfect? No, I still need to go back in and edit a couple things, right? Like I would go back and I would say, you know what, on the prompt assembler, this shouldn't be a slider. This should be stars that I click on, right? Like that would be the normal behavior. I want to be able to give the prompt a name and to be able to edit that name in the saved prompt editor. And I also want to change the behavior of this additional option where when I check this box, it should just add text to the bottom of the prompt that says a very specific fixed thing, which is my RGCOA framework. Again, if you want to know more about the RGCOA framework, I have videos on it. I'll link them. But I mean, I think we just made an app. And yeah, it took us a little longer than we thought, but I think that worked. Jordan, Steve, anything to add?
So, I mean, this really works the same way when I'm using ChatGPT or Gemini and working with Lovable, because instead of using Lovable credits, I'll go into ChatGPT or an N8N, and I'll go into ChatGPT to figure out flow and stuff like that. So you use the initial prompt to the extended initial prompt to build out the entire framework, and then from there it's just minute fixes here and there.
Yeah.
So
and look, you know, we're showcasing Claude Code, but you could use this with any of the tools that are out there, right? As long as you have these Markdown files in the context of the tool. And so if you're using the sort of like builders, you could use Lovable or Bolt or Windsurf or whatever. Awesome, go with it. This works just as well with those systems. If you're using the CLI tools like we were, you know, like Claude Code, which we showed today, you can do this with Claude Code or Gemini CLI or ChatGPT's Codex agent. Like all those things work the same. It's similar, just like what's the context that you're giving so that it doesn't lose its mind when you ask it to do something. And we did so many interesting things today. We troubleshot by using screenshots. We made sure that we ran into problems and we zoomed back out from action into plan mode. We got things figured out and we're able to troubleshoot. And I think it just kind of worked. This was a great little walkthrough. So yeah, appreciate you both spending some time with me. And for those watching at home, I appreciate you hanging out. All right, thanks for joining me on that journey. Super fun to build. If you want to know more, there's a lot of links down in the description below, links to the community. If you want to get training on exactly how to get the skills necessary to do all the things I just talked about, links to my training materials for both teams, corporate, individuals, U.S. military units, and U.S. government agencies, all in the links down below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.